One, and we're live. Good evening. This is Attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret: How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined tonight by some very special folks. We have a co-host, Miss Cassandra Woodard. Hello, Cassandra. How are you?
I'm
We
good.
have co-host Miss G. Georgette Truen. Hello, Miss Truen. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
And good evening, Christy Little, a very special guest. How are you, Christy?
Good.
So, Christy, you must be associated with CPS in some manner.
I am.
Okay, what state are you in?
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Mhm.
Did we have another case from Mississippi recently, Miss G?
Yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Are you related to that case?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm in a completely different part of the state.
Christy.
But I did watch it.
Okay. We are what part of this Mississippi are you from? Western or eastern?
Northeast. I'm actually about 5 minutes from the birthplace of Elvis Presley.
Okay. You ever been to Biloxi?
Yes, many times. You like to go there, huh?
Well, when I'm in New Orleans visiting family or something, a lot of them like to go to Biloxi, on a Saturday night or something. Biloxi is, if people don't know, it's a part of Mississippi that has casinos,
That's
and
right.
a lot of people from Mississippi and from Louisiana go to Biloxi for dinner and nightclubs and bars and stuff like that. It's supposed to be a happening place.
Yes. Have you been to Tunica? We have those there too.
No, but you know where I have been? Is it Tunica? Yeah. Isn't there an army base there?
No, I don't think so.
I
The army
think
base is in the Delta. My
Okay.
dad said.
I went to Tunica to visit someone, a relative, one time, and I thought maybe that's where he lived, but I think he was stationed at the base that was apparently around there someplace. But he recently retired a couple of years ago after like 25 years in the army.
I don't know. I know what the Air Force Base is. Other than that,
Yeah. He was a paratrooper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, paratrooper, 25 years.
That's interesting. Probably Count Shelby, maybe.
I really don't remember, but I do know that after he retired, he went back home to Louisiana and he joined the police force.
Oh,
So he's a police officer now.
well, good.
Yeah. Anyway, so tell me about CPS in Mississippi and your part of Mississippi. What's going on down there?
Oh, it's terrible. They do need some reconstruction, some kind of serious. As a matter of fact, our local area in this county has lost a great deal of their employees. They're actually having to go outside the county to get people to service the area. I don't know. I've heard that it's because of some dirty work. I've also heard it's people have left voluntarily because of the things that they've been asked to do and they don't want to do them. I've heard many things in the area through some, people in politics and other things about this. So I'm pretty certain that these are some accurate things I've heard. But directly with my family specifically, our situation is because of a jilted ex-wife of somebody. It's just this woman she's made, okay, this is serious. From 2017, 18, till now, she's made 22 to 24 false allegation. There's been that many complaints made. 16 to 18 directly towards a family member of mine, and then about 6 against me directly. I wasn't married to her. I don't understand why she wants to drag me in it. But our children, my concern is it's not so much was not in the beginning of dealing with them, but eventually it began to step on the rights of our children, being drug out of class, humiliated in front of their peers, and at some point, then parents will begin to say, hey, there's something wrong with these people, but there's not. This gentleman has been through an in-depth investigation with the Lee County Sheriff's Department. I'll go ahead and tell you there, with this CPS, with I guess I can say guardian ad litem, and a number of other people, even the district attorney, has cleared him completely of any and all wrongdoing in any of these cases. And he still is only allowed a few hours a week with his children, and he originally had joint custody. Something that concerns us is the things that are happening to the kids while they're with this woman. Is that alienation matter, being told things about the man that's not true. We did find out directly through electronic means, through the police department, that the mother was instructing the children what to say to the authorities, and they were lies, and she was rewarding them for this. And he still cannot get his children back.
Okay, now is this a friend or a relative of yours?
A relative.
Okay, and he's the father in the CPS case.
Yes.
Okay, and how long?
He was going to be here today, but he has a new baby in the NICU, and he will be coming home soon. And for concerns of retaliation and the baby being so tiny, it was best he not join us. So.
Okay, so is he still trying to get his children back from CPS?
Yes. Mm-hmm. He's spent multiple thousands of dollars with attorneys, my father and him directly.
What seems to be the problem?
The lawyer, to be frank. I mean, we tell him things that are happening and nothing happens to her. And yet every time, I mean, I'll give you, for instance, let's see, his first visit back with his girls since the summer, because this last event occurred this past summer when school got out. His very first initial visit, because of the concerns of what had happened and what the girls had said and the allegations, for his own safety, he asked that my mother be present at the visits. They agreed, that would be best. All right, so he was going to get just a few hours on one day a week. Okay, this is all they're giving him now. He's been cleared, mind you, passed multiple drug tests. The boy's never been on drugs and does not have any criminal background, never been in trouble for anything other than driving motorcycles too fast. I mean, seriously, he's been a great kid, a great dad. They go to visit. They go to the mall to buy something, just to have a good time with his mother. And not that he even had to have her with him. When they got back, the one child gets in the car, and she's the only one that showed up. The mom says that she's going to go take out papers on him at the sheriff's department because he left the house with her to go buy her a birthday present. And she's going to go take out papers on him. Seriously. And we get letters for these things that say, hey, you can't do that, or don't do this, or you were driving too fast, or no joke, we got a letter today that said he was driving too fast. How do you know he was driving too fast? I don't understand. He currently right now has a CPS, what do you call that? The initial visit, there's not a case. No case has ever been opened on him. They've all been closed and unsubstantiated. But they've come out to visit, wanting to inspect the house because they said him and his girlfriend got into an argument. My hand to God, if I'm lying to you, I'm dying. I'm telling you, that was what they were here for. And it's still ongoing. And he's concerned about it. I mean, this is ridiculous. I didn't know. There were no police record, no domestic matter. They keep calling it a domestic issue and like a domestic violence. The boy's never had a domestic violence charge on him. He's never been in trouble for anything of that nature. And has no background whatsoever in it. And apparently, and more so, it's becoming a smear campaign because they're not satisfied with the answer that they're getting from the people who were here and witnessed this. So they're going to go to all these other people that they know, telling them these things, these false allegations. I guess they're hoping they're going to get a bite. I don't know. But they won't let him go. They won't leave him alone. I mean, I don't understand how much more a person has got to do. This lady left her children when they were little, moved to Seattle, Washington, way across the country. She did not even visit these children on their birthday, for Pete's sake, for years. She just left him there with them. Okay, the kind of dad he is, he's the youngest of all of us. All right, and there was no babies following him. So he goes and pays a girl to teach him how to braid hair so he can fix his daughter's hair to go to school. That's the kind of dad he is. He had them in sports and activities, never missed a ball game, nothing. And suddenly all this, I don't understand it. I don't understand why they won't do something to her. This lady went and borrowed. Okay, this is outside the CPS matter, but it still concerns this case. My father, she borrowed $140,000 on his property without his knowledge, and they're not doing anything about this. Not just him, but he had developed part of it. So there's 10 other houses that she did this to. And my nieces are still there. We have talked to them about this. We have read information that said, if you see that there's an alienation matter, you are to act on it immediately. We have reported this. We have talked to, I have called them and reported her myself twice, and nothing has been done to save the children. And get this, not only that, they won't even stay with her. They're staying with other family members. She doesn't even keep them when she has them. And
there's a question on our screen right now from
I'm sorry,
Deirdre Payne, and Miss Payne says, why did the biomother come back into the picture?
because her contract ended.
What do you mean?
She was a travel nurse. Her contract
Oh,
ended.
I see.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
She came back to Mississippi,
And
thinking
5 months later, filed for divorce.
In order to get the divorce,
She had
to be here.
Daddy, I got it. She had to have, she had to have a year under her belt to be able to do certain things in her career that she could be able to do. My mother had the ability to help her get that. When she went through school, and my brother paid for everything and built her a house, and it had no mortgage, and all this stuff was lovely, fine, and wonderful. I mean, a beautiful 4-bedroom home, no mortgage. She's got a year under her belt now. She can sail. She divorced him. And there was a problem with the attorneys. There's issues that we've tried to address too, that there were paperwork that was removed, fraudulent paperwork was sent in. It did not match information that we had given his attorney. I found out that they had taken signature pages and moved them. And this has been evidenced and proven by other attorneys who witnessed it themselves. And yet, rather than overturn the decision, and because he was basically told to either sign these papers actually, he met his attorney that he paid $5,000 to the day he went to court, to divorce court. Was the first time he ever laid eyes on him. And they walked in and handed him a stack of divorce papers, said, if you don't sign these, you'll never see your kids again. He was scared. He didn't understand it. He had an 8th grade education. He was by himself, and he didn't know what else to do.
Miss G, you were saying something?
That was my point exactly. She's from another state. We're in California, and she's saying the same thing everybody else is saying about the court-appointed attorneys. They get paid whether they work on your case or not, and that's everywhere in the United States of America.
This was a paid attorney.
Oh, this was a paid attorney?
This was a paid attorney. Yes, a very well-known paid attorney in our state. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. $5,000. Yes, ma'am.
5,000. That's very little.
Yeah, it was very little. We got very little work.
Is he a family law attorney?
Yes, he is a family law attorney. His family is a very large law firm here in the state.
Right. But does he handle juvenile cases, or does he only handle family law and criminal?
That particular attorney only handled the divorce. We got another attorney to handle this other situation that arose a few months after the divorce was settled.
No, I'm talking about the CPS attorney. Is he a qualified CPS attorney? Or a family law attorney?
His specialty is not that, but he has a history here with the people who are with the judge and some other folks in the area. They're all about the same age, grew up together in the same towns, kind of thing.
But that doesn't matter. My question is,
it mattered here.
My question is, has he handled CPS cases before? Has he handled CPS
No,
cases?
not that I'm aware of. No.
There you go. So that's the reason I asked that, because if he handled CPS cases before and he's a attorney that you paid for, then he should know what he's doing. You understand that?
Okay. We paid for him. He paid for him to handle a matter that she was suing him for. During the time of this particular lawsuit, she starts to call because every time they're fixing to go to court, she calls CPS and there's a claim. She calls again and there's a claim. Let me give you, for instance, I have a son, he's 30 years old. I've been a parent for 30 years. Okay. 6 years ago, I got my first initial CPS complaint, and it was made by her. So you're going to tell me for 24 years I was a good mother, and then suddenly I'm not?
Yep. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
2 years, this is active, and this goes on. And you can go back and look up every court date that they had, every deposition date they had was exactly when they were called and told. Now I'll give you this is how ridiculous it is. One time they call and say the kids have no panties. The next time they call, it's the kids have panties. I'm not understanding that situation. And let me explain. What happened was my brother dated this girl who had 2 children. There were 4 kids involved. Okay. One of them got sick and was having accidents. My niece found out she had an accident in her bathing suit. She didn't appreciate it. Well, I told my brother, because he's younger than me, much younger, you can't let girls swap things like that. So, just be mindful of it. Make sure the girls know to wear their own. But he wouldn't know that. Most men don't. So he freaked out. He went through the house, including even with his girlfriend, and he removed all underwear and bathing suits in the entire house. Went first thing the next morning and bought brand new for everybody. Now tell me, how is that a bad guy?
That's not a bad guy.
No, that's not a bad guy, but we had a visit at our home for it.
But like I said before, and I know Cassandra knows this, I said multiple times that they always attack the good parent.
Yeah.
Not the bad one. But somehow they leave the abusers with the children.
Yes, and that's exactly what they are.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. It really, honest to God, doesn't. But that's why sometimes I would say they're demonic, because only a demon would want the children harmed.
Man, you couldn't have said it better yourself. My dad said that the other day. This world is full of evil. What are we dealing with? My mother and I have discussed the same matter. You are not dealing with a normal matter here. It's almost like it's something spiritual, that's even heavier than just being a human. And I hate to say that, but it is true. No person, no good mother who loved her children, mind you, and was concerned about them, would agree, after making bad allegations against a gentleman, to say all of this would stop because the attorney talked to the other attorney and said, what would it take to make this end? And she says to her attorney, give me an easement. Obviously, she wants more land than what she's already gotten. No, why do that after what you've done? You're insane. No, you're not going to get that. But would you trade your daughter's safety for land?
Mm-hmm.
No, you would not.
No.
These are red flags here that nobody is seeing. And it's driving. I was concerned about his health and his safety and his mental state because of the amount of pressure that it had been on. He had to give up a very good job, because he was concerned about the people that he would be around in that position with what was coming, and he didn't know where it would be leading. Sometimes when you're fighting things, you're fighting something you have no idea what's there, because nobody's telling you anything, and you're right. But I mean, it's terrible, the accusations. I read these reports myself. I know what I saw in there, and it is horrible.
They make you sound like you're crazy. They make you sound like you're crazy.
That way. But I'll tell you, the report, there was a 500-page easily report that was supposed to have been an investigation on him. There were about 5 pages of it were about him. Everything else was about her. It was even presented against her to the grand jury, for the love of God, and they still left those kids with her.
Yep. Yeah, very familiar. But what I'm trying to tell you, sweetheart, and everybody else out there, like I said, they target the good parent, not the bad one. And just to let you guys know is that I got a call from a social worker in Kentucky, and that was a face-to-face call. It was on she has Apple iPhone. She asked me if I had Apple, and me and her got on like face-to-face call. She
Mhm.
showed me where she works, and she showed me her badge, everything, but she wanted me to keep it like it was personal. She said that in Kentucky, what they're doing, which I already know they do this everywhere in the United States, they're they're telling teenagers it's okay to have sex, it's okay, it's okay. Teenagers get pregnant.
Mhm.
So what it is, they're introducing sex to teens so that way they can have a baby.
Mhm.
And then because they're young, the Department of Child Services goes after the baby, take the baby from them, and get the baby adopted for money.
There's an attorney
You
here.
can't make that shut up. You can't make that shut up. You can't
No,
make it up.
no.
So I didn't want to believe her until I see the building, until I see her badge, because anybody can call me and give me some bullshit information, right?
Mhm.
Then when I saw that, and I said, "Why are you there? Why are you working there?" She said, "I'm giving it a few more months. I want to save those girls. I want to save them." She thinks she's going to be the savior for them. I said, "Does your supervisor know you're trying to do that?" She said, "No, if my supervisor finds out, I'm going to be fired.
Mhm.
And then if I get fired, then I can't save those girls."
Mhm.
However, she can't do anything her way. Like if she tells her supervisor that the family are good people, you know what the supervisor would tell her? No, they're not. You're
Mhm.
gonna do as I tell you. She said a lot of people left from the department, they quit, but then the one that stayed, they didn't care. Either way, they're not their family, so they didn't care if the children are in harm's way or not.
Yeah.
So she's asking me for my advice, and I couldn't give her my advice. I said, if you were my sister and I'm talking to you, I would tell you to leave and start somewhere else where you can actually bring awareness to these kids to let them know what the damage and the consequences are by them having babies and having sex at a young age,
Mhm.
you know. And that's where we left it. But we're going to stay in touch. But the point I was trying to make, I've been saying this all along, they target they target good people, and they put the
Mhm.
children in harm's way to have kids. And there's a lot of children who are getting pregnant in foster homes, by the way, and they take these kids and sell them to the highest buyer.
When they come out when they come out in May of this
Mhm,
year, okay,
mhm.
this year, and somebody had asked a while ago, I saw it come across, was there a history of any of abuse or whatever with the kids or anything like that? No, there's not. There's no history at all. If anything, he would be the chosen parent for these two.
Mhm.
Um, we're concerned about the youngest one when she goes home because she has a very sad look on her face, like she's going to be interrogated. If that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Um, and usually there is some retaliation or some kind of consequence for having fun when she goes home. Though we don't discuss it with her, you know it. When you know children, you know some things, you know. But anyway, when they are, I was going somewhere with that when they originally come out. Daddy, well, I can't remember what I was going to tell you now. I'm sorry about a senior moment. Oh, mercy. But there's just been so much to deal with these people.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I know what it was. Okay, when they originally come out, and he agreed, you know, whatever. Because what are you going to do? Stand up? They're the ones holding the rule book in their hand. You know, if you don't agree to it, they're going to bring the police, and then you've got no choice. So, and then you look like you're uncooperative. Well, while within the first 2 weeks, I guess, that they were under the supervision of CPS and they were with her directly, she left the state with them. She was not supposed to do that. She wasn't supposed to do that according to the divorce decree. She was not supposed to do that because the child were in a safety plan. They were
Mhm.
supposed to remain within the state. She left, went 2 states away. Do you know how we found this out? Because she put a video online, the youngest, the one that was 12 years old, online in a motel room with a shirt on up under here, bikini panties, on her knees, doing a little dance in a motel room. And no parent was there. Nobody was there. We asked them, are you supervising her? Because this has never been some problem in the past with her. She acted like a lady. This is not acting like a lady. Do you know I contacted those people 4 separate occasions and ask them, are you aware of this? Even to the point of taking the video itself on a disc to the police department and telling them, look, if let's just say, for instance, what if the mother had left the state without the knowledge of anybody? And she's in Texas. We know that's near the border. Okay. All right. We know about human trafficking. Everybody knows about that right now. What if, let's say by chance, she was able to get to a phone and accidentally made this video? And we knew we could see this. 4 days have passed and nobody's checked on this child. We would never see her again. To me, that's a very serious problem. I'm handing you the information here and you're doing nothing about it. There was a little girl that she's friends with that came and showed us this. She said, look what's on here. And she was able to show us what the location was. We don't know how. I mean, I'm older. I don't know how to work some of these things, but this kid could show me this. She's putting her location. She's putting her figures. She's putting that she's alone on the internet, for Pete's sake, under the supervision of Child Protective Services of Mississippi.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
When is the what did you ever ask your attorney what his next move is, what his strategy is?
Many times. And we've asked directly to see a judge. We've asked him directly 4 different occasions through email, because I email everything. That way I know it's been done, it's documented, and there's no denying it. This stuff, I've got records that go back, and I mean, they are immaculate records that go back to 2016 with this business. And yeah. And when I say something about those forged documents earlier, let me explain how I know this, and you'll understand. One document we had to turn in, we had to handwrite it. You hand wrote in the information. Okay. It was showing an asset list is what it was. It's the original document. I was in a hurry when I was trying to scan it and get it to the lawyer, and I left the lid up on the copier. I'm scanning it, moving it over. And ladies, y'all have ever used copiers, when you leave the lid up, it leaves a gray haze on the paper. In an entire file folder, the only thing that has that gray haze is that original document. But the document that was put into the system, that was filed with the courthouse, that's got the lovely stamp on it, the signature page is gray. It's not white, and the numbers don't match. And then suddenly they disappeared. Verified by the new attorney.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got a DHS.
I mean, did your attorney mention that you have a good lawsuit?
Excuse me?
Did your attorney mention that you have a good civil lawsuit?
No, he didn't. No, I think I'm beginning to think that he used that for brownie points, because this was such a bigger attorney than him. And then maybe he could say, hey, I know something on you, and get somebody off later on. I mean, why else would a person will only do something if there's something to gain. Okay. And there's got to be something to gain. The only gain would be, what gain would he have? Yeah. I mean, why would you not report that? That's fraud. This lady went in. Oh, let me go ahead. I can add this on to you. While all this other business is going on, she goes and signs his name to a fraudulent tax return. Oh, yes. And commits bogus fraud on it. Cashes a check that she gets back. We went and submitted it to the people, to the authorities, and had them do an audit to prove that it was wrong. In the meantime,
proving that she's wrong, DCFS does not see that. That's why, I mean, no, seriously.
Serious?
No.
CPS will see the truth as a lie and the lie as the truth. Mm-hmm. The judge, that's why I call them stupid, because that is the definition of stupid. When you see evidence and you still believe a lie, that means there's something wrong with you.
Exactly.
And people like that, the ones who believe the lie over the truth, are not normal people. They don't have, I'm going to say it, they don't have God in their heart. They don't.
No, they don't.
Because when you have God in your heart, you would really save the innocent and be able to discern between evil and good. Mm-hmm. And even though the laws and what have you, it's written, they know how to violate and go around it.
Mhm.
create their own rules,
My
violate your rights and everybody else's rights.
my brother has been under such scrutiny. I was concerned he may harm himself at one point, and I asked him to go to the local behavioral health place over here and stay for a little while, just so that he didn't have to hear any more of this stuff for a little while to clear his head. He was diagnosed with PTSD because of this by 2 different doctors. That is like a person who's been in war. Okay, he had no problem like that before. He does now. And I'm concerned that this is continuing on. It's going to eventually, it's put my father in the hospital twice. They thought he'd had a stroke. These are major, major issues. They go far beyond even just the children and their safety. I mean, the kind of pain that they cause these people and their families.
Yep.
I mean, if anything, I understand that if there's a child that's in danger, they've got somebody needs to act. I have no problem with that at all.
They don't act though,
Yeah.
but they don't.
But
There's
they don't.
children that are being starved, and me and Cassandra were talking about that story last week. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The children are given to the abusers. It just blows my mind. And then
you're not talking about just CPS, and in this situation, the authorities. You're talking about attorneys, the district attorney of our county. I've notified our state attorney general. I've notified the federal attorney general. I've notified, I've called more political officials, representatives, the senator. I have laid it all on the line. If I could find an email address, somebody's known about it. Right. Because I was flat out, when my dad wound up in the hospital and I was afraid that he wasn't coming home, that was enough for me. I was like, somebody else is going to be responsible for this too, because I'm putting the story out there and somebody's going to know something needs to be done. We need some help here, because this place around here, I know people personally who've had their children taken from them and adopted out.
Yeah.
These are friends of people that I've known who have no criminal background, who have nothing, no mark on their record, held jobs and everything else, all because they were the ones that had the least amount of money and somebody on the other side of the fence had the better lawyer. All a bunch of garbage. Grandparents winding up with the kids. Hey, if they're better off with the grandparents, that's fine. But mom and dad still have a right to see them, know who they are. You don't remove these people from their lives. This is insane.
But that's the easiest way to adopt. But I mean, the cheapest way to adopt, rather.
Exactly.
Listen, I'll give you an example. Back in the day, before I started working with Davis, before I knew anything about DCFS, anything like that. That was back in 1999, 1998, right before the September 11th thing happened, right? I was working in Century City with Solomon Smith Barney. It's an investment banking in Avenue of the Stars, right? Mm-hmm. Anyways, so September 11 happens. Before then, one of the workers' sister wanted to adopt a child. And she said that the easiest way to adopt is through foster care, right? Now, at the time, it didn't hit me. It didn't hit me. What does that mean? But they were talking about it, and they said that that's the cheapest way to do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So oftentimes, sometimes when you deal with situation, you don't recall, how can I say, you remember the past, the conversations mm-hmm. that happened. And then it hit me, because the cheapest way to adopt is through foster home. Because mm-hmm. if you're not a foster parent, you actually have to have like 55,000 or 50,000 and up mm-hmm. in your account in order for you to adopt. But getting it through the system is cheaper for them, and it's a win-win, meaning the department will get the money from the federal government, right, for the adoption.
Yeah, that's something I'm concerned about with my new nephew. Yeah, coming from the NICU, and the fact that they haven't closed this argument business mm-hmm. is because he'll be coming home soon, and I'm concerned that this may be something they may be after.
Right.
I got news for them. It won't be an easy battle at all.
I hate to say this to you, and I really want to tell you this, okay? Mm-hmm. Don't think you're above them.
Oh, I don't.
I hear a lot of people on the phone telling me, "Oh no, Miss G, I don't think so. They better not take my baby."
They haven't met my mother.
Doesn't matter who the mother is. It doesn't matter. We become so caught up in I'm strong, I'm a fighter, I'm this, I'm that. Bullshit. They
Mhm.
will take the baby from you whether you like it or not.
That's
So
right.
if you're not lawyered up, don't
Mhm.
think you're going to fight them on your own or that you're strong enough to do it. Bullshit. In order for you to be crippled, is take your soul from you.
That's right. And it
Your
destroys
soul
you.
from you is taking your child. How are you
Mhm.
going to be weak when your child is removed from you? So
Exactly.
don't think you're super dad or you're super mom and you know what you're doing.
That's right.
Bullshit. Okay? Lawyers
Mhm.
who have been on the field with DCFS for 2 years. One lawyer told me this morning, I would like to speak to Attorney Davis. I need his advice. I
Mhm.
said, Attorney Davis is in court. He's going to be done at 4:30. He said, please talk to him for me. I need to speak with him. He's only been a lawyer for 2 years. He
Mhm.
doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I want to win this case, but I don't know. So one
Mhm.
of the other colleagues told him to call Davis. And I wish Davis can do that for a living, train all the new attorneys,
Mhm.
honestly. You know what I mean? And make it like he's the professor, which he is, and then train them. Honestly, a lot of attorneys don't know what they're doing. They told me that one person told me that CPS is so strong, he can't get 2 words out of his mouth.
Mhm. They
Two words.
can't. I've watched it. I've
Yeah,
witnessed it in a courtroom
yeah,
where they were breaking the law, and the attorney was sitting there saying, "You're breaking the law," and
yep.
the judge sits there and tells the attorney to be quiet and does not even hear what he has to say, yet allows them to continue breaking the law. I witnessed this with my own eyes.
But to win a case like this, breaking the law is not the right word to use. Davis had to teach me that.
Mhm.
I mean, Mr. Davis, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but you have to speak to the court language. He
Right.
taught me that. There's a language that is spoken in court. What
Mhm.
we humans, or ordinary people, what we say is not acceptable. And
Right. Exactly.
for the attorney to say you're breaking the law, Your Honor, or
Mhm.
you're breaking the law,
No.
you piece of shit, sitting on the bench,
No.
that's not it's not gonna cut.
No. Mm-mm.
So he has to bring it out in a specific way,
Yeah.
in a way where it's intimidating, in a way where if you don't do it that way, it's going to be a lawsuit.
Right.
Kind of like, hey, I'm giving you
No,
a
no,
heads
no,
up.
no. When I say that he did that they were
Mhm.
that's me saying they were. Now he handled his business elsewhere in that
Right.
room. I just witnessed what was going on, and that was not good at all. At all. I mean, even as a common layperson, I knew better. I mean, I was like, this is insane. She would tell him not to do something and allow the next one to do that, and I'm like, this because she was the guardian ad litem.
Right.
Yeah.
The
And
guardian
it
ad
was an
litem,
adoption case.
the guardian ad litem is they're full of shit too. I mean, we have
Mhm.
a mom today. Like, there's 3 moms so far that I've known since I worked with Davis that killed themselves.
Yeah, I would
Mom
doubt, I would not
today,
doubt.
honest to God, I'm not joking. This mom spoke to me in the morning in tears. They removed her kids today. The social worker told her and her husband she will never see her kids again. The next thing she did, she hung herself. Her
Right.
husband called me at 1:15 p.m., told me my wife just killed herself. And I spoke to her at 9:13 in the morning.
See, that's just wrong. That is so wrong.
Right. But do you see what I'm talking about? You steal the child, you weaken the parent.
That's right. You
And
weaken the
especially
home.
when you steal the child from a mother. If
Mhm.
the mother is not strong enough to cope with it, the mother could hurt herself or result into drugs until she kills herself, or
Mhm.
alcohol until she kills herself.
That's right.
And she was a new mom. That was
Mhm.
her first baby. They didn't take the baby because of drugs, because they left the hospital. The baby's only 6 months old.
Mhm.
The reason they took the baby is because they were reported for domestic violence, not by the police. The police was not there, but it
Mhm.
was the ex-girlfriend of the husband that reported her.
Yeah.
and her husband because she's mad that he broke up his engagement, never married her, and then end up marrying somebody else a year later.
That would be the
So
same
jealousy-
circumstance of our newest report.
correct. So jealousy is demonic. When you're
Mhm.
jealous, you're not. You can be a little bit, but if you're overly jealous and hurt somebody because of your jealousy, that's not normal either. Get it?
Mhm.
So she
Or greed.
literally-
Mm-hmm.
correct. She literally destroyed a family and a
Yep.
baby because she's jealous.
Yep. That's right. She'll have to meet
There
her
you go.
maker over that one.
Right. But then CPS removed the baby,
Mhm.
even though they have no record. It's not proven that there was a domestic violence. And the date that they were supposed to have a domestic violence, supposedly he was out of town in Sacramento.
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And he literally texted me the plane ticket and the day he arrived. So what I'm
That's
trying to tell you is CPS did not care about those evidence
no, they
at
don't.
all. At
Mm-mm.
all. CPS told them, oh, everything looks great. We're not going to remove the baby. You have food in the house. Blah, 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 blah. And then exactly the same day.
I wanted to tell you something too. You made me think of this suddenly.
Yeah.
I was listening to your show yesterday. The gentleman who I believe was a preacher, possibly from Mississippi.
Yeah.
Okay, a pastor. He made a statement, and it rang true. You ever hear you like deja vu? You know what I mean? Deja vu. Okay. He said he was talking about a lady who come out and looked at the house and everything was hunky-dory, and she was like, oh, how nice and how pretty and da-da-da-da, and everything, and she seemed to be really on their side. And then when they went to court, she did a whole 180 on him, and it's like, nope, you don't get the kids, da-da-da-da. I know 2 other circumstances where I've heard those exact words. It's almost, I promise you, it is almost like somebody has scripted this information to these people.
They did.
Because when he said that, I was like, I've heard that before. It made me tune in to what I'm seeing. And I'm like, this is insane. And in our state, they have there's a website that you can go to. There's a handbook that you can look at, and it tells about how to be a better parent, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Then that's the big heading on this thing. That's what attracted me to it. I read stuff. When I go somewhere, I'm reading anything that they've got wrote down because I want to know. And I got looking in this handbook, and one of the things is it plainly says how to be a better dad, get along with the mom. Never says in there, not one time does it say how to be a better mom, not once. The dad is mentioned in their derogatory about 70 times in this pamphlet. A mother's mentioned less than 10. Grandparents are listed about the same. But as far as reunification being listed, it's not even spoke of hardly in this pamphlet.
I'm going to tell you something my mom told me a long time ago. Once you have a child, God gives you the instinct to be a mother.
Exactly.
It's like it comes natural. When I first had my first child, all you want to do is protect the child, nurture the child, make sure they're breathing at night. I didn't sleep at all. I literally kept up all night just to make sure my child is well.
Right.
I made sure my child is fed. I made sure my child is clean. I made everything. You spoil that child with love. Love,
Right.
love, 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 love. That's all children need. Love, understanding, and communication with them.
Right.
Don't force them. Don't do this. Just communicate with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what it is. But
I put out a pamphlet though that frowns on the father.
But they're making it look like parents are not capable of raising children. Why?
Thank you.
Are you leaving the other children in harm's way? To be
Mhm.
starved, to be, with a meth addict mom with a boyfriend who doesn't want to stop doing drugs, and the boyfriend is beating on your children. They're locked in the garage or they're locked in whatever until they die. Like this police officer in New York, where the mom has been telling the courts there's abuse, not just mental abuse, physical abuse as well. He would abuse his kids mentally and physically. The court saw the mother as making up the allegation to take the children from the father. See, this father right shit shouldn't be 100% on. You have to do your due diligence to really see this person for who they are. Get it?
Right.
You have to investigate it.
Look at all the information.
Correct. So the father and the girlfriend locked the child up in the garage until he died from that. It was 19-degree weather. in the garage until the child died. The child was only 5 years old.
Oh my God.
So the media contacted the mother, and she lost complete parental rights to the children
Hmm.
because he's a police officer. A badge. Get it? So they did not want to see abuse. They only saw the woman as complaining, nagging, and wanted to take the children from the father.
Mhm.
But all she wanted to do was protect her children. Now they see women protecting their children as the perpetrators
Mhm.
and the abusers as the victims.
Well-
And that's the reality of shit.
I have a question. Maybe one of you might can answer. And I may have said this wrong. I know in every profession, there's always some terminology that people use that's it means different things in your profession, where it doesn't mean the same thing to people who are just out on the street. And when I say lose children, he never. Let me phrase it this way: his parental rights and parental capabilities were never removed from him. There was never a court order where the children were taken and given to her directly. So this is some concerning thing. When they divorced, they had joint custody. Okay. And that order is still in place. All right. Now they come out and they've aggravated and researched and dug and done and humiliated and did everything that they needed to do all these years, except for during COVID, by the way. There was a 2-year break. We got a 2-year break that nobody come to visit. We were good for 2 years and then we got going again. But anyway, that's how stupid this thing is. But what they did do was I guess we call it taking them, because they asked for her they caused a separation is what it was. They put them with the mom and they said, you can't see it until this investigation's over. The investigation was over in July of this year. Okay, it was found in July. It was over. We were not told about this matter till September of this year. The attorneys knew that it was over. Okay, he was free and clear. It was out of youth court. Everything was done. And he, to this day, does not have the same visitation that he had originally when this began. And we don't understand what the holdup is here. What is the problem? Why he's been cleared. Why don't things go back the way they were? What's the problem here? Why are we pussyfooting around this situation? Why are all these I mean, even though he's been cleared by all of these people, and we've got the documents to prove this, why is it that he is still given and scrutinized to the point of he only gets to see them now 2 days a week? He gets to see them on Saturday and Sunday every other weekend for just a few hours from 9 to 5. Now, I'm sorry, that is, what is the problem? I mean, is this something we need to be taken to the attorney, or do we need to go above his head is what we're trying to figure out? Because it doesn't really feel like he's doing anything here to help us.
I think you should take it to the attorney, see what the attorney does, and if he doesn't do anything, then perhaps reevaluate the strategy you try to implement. And maybe you go above his head, but I would start with him first.
Okay.
Okay. And he may not do anything, and you
He
may have
hasn't.
to go over his head. So, but at least start with him first, because supposedly, you're paying him money, and supposedly he has your best interest at heart. So at least give
We'll
the
give him the
person
benefit
a
of the doubt.
chance. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're coming to the end of the show.
Mhm.
And I have a new feature. What I'm doing, I'm playing an instructional video that I've made at the end of the show.
Mhm.
So I want to thank you, Miss Christie, for being on the show and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Please keep in contact with me and Miss G, because we might be able to give you some hints or our opinions about something in the case, because
Okay.
it seems like a very unfair situation.
Very unfair.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All
Okay.
righty.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Miss G, thank you again for being on the show tonight. Appreciate it very much. And I am going to remove both of us while we play, or I'm just going to play this instructional video. All right. As you know, I'm a lawyer licensed here in California, and we are experts in doing CPS cases. I got a call the other day from a potential client, And he wanted to know what I thought was the most important thing you have to know in winning your CPS case. You know, I thought about it and thought about it. There's so many things you have to know. The law, the procedure, the evidence, the strategy, the this, the that. I mean, there's so many things going on in your head about these cases. But I came down to one thing that I think is probably the most important thing, and that is evidence and the rules of evidence in your particular state. You have to know how to get evidence before the judge so that the judge could see your side of the case and rule in your favor. Call me if you have any further questions. All right, all. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m.